All right, hello everyone. This is video 4 in my series of trying to use Gemini 2.5 Flash with a custom gem to learn the NIM programming language while solving problems off of Project Euler. So this is video 4, problem 4. So as always, let's take a screenshot of the problem and then start working on it. Okay, so moving to Excalibur one more time. Oh, all right, let's see what the problem is saying. So the problem is saying a palindromic number reads the same both ways. The largest palindrome made from the products of two-digit numbers is 9009. That is made from 91 times 99. Find the largest palindrome made from the product of two three-digit numbers. Okay, so palindromic number is basically a number that reads the same both ways. So, for example, this is 17, but if you read it from the right, from the other side, it will be 71. So this is not palindromic. But if you take something like 11, it's palindromic both ways. Or something more like 1, 2, 1, which is a 1, 2, 1 both ways. So, what is the largest palindromic number that can be made from the product of two three-digit numbers? Okay, so let's think about this. How will we solve a problem like this? All right, so let's brainstorm. All right, so what we definitely need to do is have a for loop that goes from maybe 100 to 99. Let's think about 999. And then most likely a second for loop. I'm sure there's a more clever way to do this, but for now I'm just going to go with the simplest way I can think of. 100 to 99, 199 because this is the smallest three-digit number and this is the largest three-digit number. 999. And then let's call this I, let's call this J, and then products of I and J. Once we have a product, we definitely need to check. We need an if conditional to check if the current multiple, let's call this uh, current multiple, if current multiple is a palindrome. So in that sense, we will need a function. This will have to be a proc, as we saw in the last video for NIM, to check if something is a palindrome. So how to define a proc is palindrome. We will probably need, let's see, how can we set up a function that checks if a number is palindrome? I think we will have to take two numbers. I think we'll have to take a number, current multiple, convert it to string. So convert to string, convert to string, and check if the number is the same both ways, xy and yx. Well, this is, well, xyx and xyx. Is it the same thing both ways? Um, so you might have noticed I'm going from 100 to 999 and then 100 to 999 instead of the other way around, because something I noticed here was the biggest palindrome made from the product of two-digit numbers is actually 91 times 99. So you can go from 99 all the way to 92 and then multiply it with all other numbers from 11 to 99 and not get a palindrome. So the largest palindrome is not necessarily the product of the largest two numbers as much as there is a palindrome that is the largest and that comes from the product of two two-digit numbers. So you might actually end up with a smaller palindrome if you count down instead of counting up. So I think that makes sense. For example, what you can have is you can have two large numbers that don't produce a palindrome. You can have a large number and a small number produce a palindrome, but then a bigger palindrome is made by a medium number and another medium number. So I think we should count up instead of counting down and then keep track of whether the current palindrome is bigger than the last one we have seen or the last largest palindrome. So I think that's the way to do it. So that's why I am counting up instead of counting down. I think that makes sense. I'll play around with this. So convert to string. So once we convert to string, we will uh, need to convert the number to string. We will need to iterate through the chars of the string. So iterate through chars. Iterate through chars. And definitely somewhat related, probably have to convert chars and strings between each other. Okay, so I think that kind of covers all our bases, I think. And if there's something else we need to do, I will definitely come back here and then try to make a note of it. Okay, so with that in mind, let's try this. All right, so nvim, all right, touch problem 4.nim, nvim problem 4.nim. All right, so let's see what we need to do. All right, so we need, what are some of the things we need? We need a variable to hold the final number that we will be printing. So that would be var final palindrome, and this will be an integer final palindrome. So we will define global variables. We will need a function, or as Nim likes to call it, a proc, to check if something is a palindrome. And I feel like that comment is a bit too long to be a one-line comment, so there we go. But let's come back to this. For now, let's do it this way. Let's do for I in 100 to 999, so including 999, and then we will do for j in 100 to 999, var current multiple int is equal to I times j. And so what we need to do is if is palindrome, that we will define this function later, but if the current number is a palindrome and current multiple is larger than final palindrome, then set final palindrome to current multiple. So what we're doing is we will find all the palindromes and then make a note of it if the current palindrome is larger than the last largest palindrome we saw. Find palindromes, take note if new palindrome is larger than the last largest palindrome. So I think that's how you want to do it. I don't think I will see any problems with the way I have set it up. This is a variable. We haven't run into any problems using a variable that is set to an integer but hasn't been defined to a number in the past. So I think this will be okay. And once that is set, we will just echo final palindrome. Okay, so now we need to define a function. Proc is palindrome. It will take x, which will be an integer. It will return bool. So I think, so the way I want to do this is one more time, take a number x, convert it to strings, convert to strings, and then loop through the strings and then see if they're similar front to back. Right? I think that's how we want to do it. Okay, check if similar front to back. Check if similar front to back. Front equals to back. I think, and to take note of back, we will probably need to define a sequence of type char, but let's see how that works out. Okay, so let's go here. In the nim programming language, is there a way to convert cast an int to a string? So cast is the terminology that the C programming language uses for converting types. So let's see what nim has. Yes, use dollar. That was a bit too Spartan. Could you provide an example? Okay, so so var, well, let x string equals to dollar $x. Now we need to get the length. Now that we have converted the integer to string, we need to get the length of it in the nim programming language. How do I get the length of a string? Please provide an example with syntax. Okay, let string length goes to len. Okay, so let x len equals to len x. Oh, okay. In the nim, now that we have the length, we have converted the number to string and then we have its length. I think what we want to do is iterate through it from the back, but then store the chars one at a time, and then concatenate them, and then check if they are similar front to back. So to do that, I think what we need to do is create an array or a sequence of length xlen. So in the nim programming language, how do I create an array or a seq? Not sure what the right terminology is, of fixed length. Please provide syntax and example. I'm just going to tack that on there so that I don't have to ask a follow-up question and can just kill two birds with one stone. Nim has array for fixed length collections. Seek is dynamic. So let fixed array type int. Okay. Is it char for? Is it char for characters? Yes. Okay. So the syntax is let name colon array and then length and type. Okay, so that would be define array to hold items from the back. So that would be let reverse number array xlen char. Cannot evaluate at compile time. Oh, okay, it can't be evaluated at compile time. Okay, so then maybe we need seek then. Okay. So var seek xlen char. Okay, so I think what the uh, language server protocol told me is that xlen and reverse number will exist at the same time, so we can will not exist at the same time, but reverse number needs to be created before xlen, and because we don't know what xlen is when reverse number is created, so we cannot use a fixed sized array. We will be using a dynamic array, so we will be using seek instead of array. So nim has array for fixed length collections, and seek is dynamic. Okay, so we'll be using that. Okay, so for current digit in countdown, xlen -1 to 0, because nim is 0 indexed, and this is xlen is length, but we want the index. So for example, the last item of a three-digit number, a three-digit string would be 0, 1, 2, and not 1, 2, 3. So we want to subtract by 1, and then we will do, what we will do is reverse number dot add x string in the nim programming language. Can I just index a string, or do I need to convert it to a sequence of chars first? So can I just do foo x, where foo is a string and bar is an index to get a char, or do I first need to convert foo to a sequence or array? Yes, you can directly index a string to get a char. No conversion is needed. Okay, so add x string current digit. Well, it's not current digit index, so it will be index, and seek only expects char. It does not need length. Okay, so that's what it should be. And how do I, okay, so var final reverse number is, how do I, okay, so we have added, how do I now take this sequence of chars and convert it to a string? In the nim programming language, oh god, I probably should just copy and keep that somewhere. How do I convert a seq of chars to a string? Please provide an example with syntax. All right, so we will probably need seq utils. Cool. Okay, so import, we need a new library, and let this will be, oh, okay, so import suggested libs libraries. So import sequtils. And that is, according to this, the syntax is dollar reverse number. Okay, that is fantastic. Okay, so in the nim programming language, now we're going to compare the strings, which how do I check if two strings are the same? Please provide an example with syntax. Okay, so apparently I can just do that if x string equals to final reverse number, return true, else return false. So I think this is it. We go through I, which is the first for loop in the nested for loop, and then we go through the second we go through J in the second for loop in the nested for loop, we multiply them, we check if it's a palindrome, and we check if the current multiple is larger than the last largest palindrome, and then we print the final palindrome, and we have defined a function or a procedure to main logic of the program. I like to just have good comments. Convert to string, get the length of the string, define a sequence, a dynamic array, populate the dynamic array with the digits of the supplied number from the back, convert it to a string, convert the dynamic array containing the chars back to a string, check if they're the same, return true if it's a palindrome, return false if it's not a palindrome. So I think that's it. So let's see, nim. I don't see an issue. I didn't see an issue. So let's see. 0 cannot be right. Okay, so what happened? Let's see. Nvim. Final palindrome equals to current multiple. Final palindrome. Do I have to do that? Maybe I have to do that. So let's see, nim. That cannot be right. So nvim. Why is that happening? Let's just try something. Why is that happening? So let's see. Let's do some print debugging for now. Echo I, J, dash is probably better than just space. So 0 should not be the number that we print. Why is that happening? In Vim, final palindrome is so we are going through all the numbers, just for whatever reason, we echo, we are saying 0 is the biggest palindrome. That cannot be right. Echo the number 121 should be a palindrome. Is palindrome 121 echo the number 122 should not be a palindrome. One 22. So let's see why 0 is the one that's being given as the answer. Okay, so it is saying 121 is not a palindrome. That is incorrect. All right, so let's see what's going on. All right, so in Vim, we will learn the debugger sometimes down the road, but for now, we will use print debugging. So we will not, okay, so let's see, print, oh no, echo x string is x string, echo final reverse number is final reverse number. Let's see what's going on. Okay, so final reverse number is 9980. Okay, so that is not working. Okay, so sometimes the model can be wrong, so let's do a string. Let's try that one more time. You already asked this. The model is a bit sassy, but that is incorrect, right? Am I crazy? But that is incorrect. Please check your answer because that is not working for me. Or is it, or does it have to be let? Is that it? Nope, that is not it. That is not it. So it is, for me, I can say for a fact that that is incorrect. Okay, so it's in fact arguing with me. So I'm just going to start a new chat and do this. Okay, so in the new chat, it corrected itself and it gave me new syntax. Cool. So it's saying we use join instead of dollar. Okay, so let's just try this. Uh, okay, so let symbol requires an initialization. I don't know what that means. Or on attempting to call undeclared routine join. Okay. Please check again because I am getting this error. import str utils. So maybe it's that. Gosh. Looks like the error's gone. Okay, so what did it say? You're absolutely correct to point that out. My apologies. While join is indeed the standard way to concatenate elements of a sequence into a string, the specific overload for might behave differently or require slight variation depending on the nim version or the exact context. Let's re-examine the best approach, ensuring it's robust. Does contain a joined proc. Okay, so it did not suggest that I might have forgotten to import the str utils, which quite frankly I should not have, but it does say in this line the str utils module does contain a joined proc, so that is my biggest hint easily. Okay, so and that seems to have solved my problem. All right, so we can remove these two lines and print this line. So the answer I got is 906,609. So let's see if that is correct. Oh, 52205. 906,609. Okay, so 906,609. Correct. Smiley face, even though we had to persevere a little bit, but we did get through it. So, fantastic. Problem 4 solved. All right. Um, so, see you in video 5, working on problem 5. But before we go, let's think about all the things that we learned in this session. First and foremost, we learned that the models can be wrong, that large language models are a fantastic tool for processing large volumes of information, but it is our responsibility, it is up to us to look at the information produced and weigh and judge for ourselves if what we're looking at is right or what the chances of it being wrong are. If you see um, evidence that suggests that the model's information is wrong, it is up to you to try and steer the model in the right direction, or at the very least, try to contain the model from being catastrophically wrong. So here the model is saying my information indicates that using the dollar operator on a seq char is the correct and standard way to convert it to a string in nim. And we saw that the compiler told us that that is wrong in a deterministic fashion. So it is up to us to rectify a situation like that. So I think that is the most important lesson we learned here. But beyond that, from a syntax and a compiler perspective, we learned um, about importing libraries from the standard library. We learned how to convert a number to a string, how to get the length of a string, how to make sequences of type char. We learned that we can just index a string for a char. We learned we had to iterate. We had to try a couple of times, but we learned how to convert a sequence of chars into a string. We learned how to compare strings. And we saw that nim is fantastic for rapid iteration, rapid compilation, which I think is pretty valuable. So I'm enjoying this. So So with that said, let's continue on to problem 5 in video 5.